there are people who do things to change their looks that aren't conventionally accepted, like dyeing your hair or getting a massive tattoo or something like that. And I find it interesting there, where are they doing that because they want that massive tattoo and to dye their hair, or is it that their friends think that's something cool to have, or what is
do
it?
They want to stand out? Like,
Yeah.
So I've got tattoos, and I don't think mine are quite subtle, I guess. I got one on my ankle, a starfish. I think I got that because there's a long funny story about how I had a starfish when I was younger that I won't get into right now. But I think tattoos are kind of a part of like, oh, when you turn 18, you're like, oh, what can I do now? Get a tattoo. But also it was kind of triggered by like a change in my life. Like I broke up with my boyfriend and I was like, right, what can I do now? Like to sort of, I don't know, like refresh your like sense of self, I think. But then I don't know if I was thinking like, oh, I want loads of attention from my like huge tattoo. But I don't know. Has anyone else got tattoos?
I don't have tattoos or piercings, no. I've got to say that before starting university, I definitely did not have my whole total like appearance sorted, planned out. It was something that not I developed throughout university, but something I'm still developing. Like you don't just go, oh, look at Max, that's Max.
What I find interesting is I'd say probably the drastic changes that you can make, like getting a tattoo or piercing or anything, dyeing your hair. I could imagine that being something you'd sort out before uni and something you plan to say, this is what I'm going to do. But over your time at uni, I feel like people have the gradual changes to things that they don't even notice, like the flares or the barber jacket, and that's where the stereotype comes from.
And even me, like I used to always wear skinny jeans. Now everyone started wearing like flares and like mum jeans. I slowly started thinking like, oh, actually they look really nice. Like I'm going to change my opinion. But like I think it's a very gradual change.
100%. I think university is more one of those relaxed environments where I think because a lot of students do it before university, it's because you finish sixth form when you're not allowed to do A, B, and C. So then you finish it. You have that whole summer, that really long summer. You get all those things that you want to change. And then at university, if there's anything else you want to change, it comes more slowly, just as you develop that.
I think you change like without knowing as well. Like you're always going to change. You're never going to be a set person ever. Like you're always going to change, and you're never going to notice that. And I don't think anyone can ever be like, I'm this person, this is me, because you're always going to change your look. You're always going to change what you feel about things, how you are. I think that's just something that just happens.
Yeah.
But do you think it depends? Like, so at my sixth form, we could wear whatever we wanted, like quite casual as well. So I think I started thinking about like my day-to-day style, like while I was in sixth form. But I guess if you had uniform in sixth form, or like had to wear smart clothes, maybe you wouldn't consider it so much. So I guess. I don't know.
See, from my school, we had to wear uniform, and it was really formal. And you definitely saw people after school finished just growing beards just because they've never been able to.
You weren't allowed beards?
No, you weren't allowed beards. You had to
That's
shave.
crazy.
And it's just like, you saw people who can't grow beards trying to grow beards just because they couldn't grow beards.
Like with social media and like Instagram especially and everything, you have to look perfect kind of thing. So it was very stressful back then going, am I going to look okay today? But then coming to university, I don't care as much, which I think is so much better. It's just a much more relaxed environment.
But also you're at uni where like looking a bit dishevelled is kind of the style.
There's so much difference.
It's weird. Like, I feel like when I was in sixth form, it was more like girls wearing like tight skirts and things like that. But now it's like people wear jogging boxes all the time. Like,
and it's okay.
That's like normal.
Yeah, it's the style. It's funny.
Also, I think my style's been shaped by like my close friends more than people like just in general. Like my friend always wore like denim skirts, and since coming to uni I've now acquired like 10 different denim skirts. But I don't think I like intentionally thought, right, I'm going to copy her. I think you just slowly get inspired and you're like, oh, that's a nice top, I'm going to go buy that.
I think it's in terms of people dressing in like gothic or emo or whatever, I would say it's a lot more subtle now, because there definitely is a kind of dress that you wear in your group. Like a few years ago, it was Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister. Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister for people of our age. But now it's kind of become like if you walk down at the uni, the things you're going to see are Tommy Hilfiger. You're going to see lots of brands and these like urban outfitters. Fila, that's the big, and Champion as well. You're just going to see all these brands and you're going to be like, even though these clothes look different, all of them belong to the same few 10 companies that you have to buy clothes from. And I had a conversation with my friends recently about like how one of them buys designer stuff like Champion and stuff like that, but the other one just always goes to Primark, and we were all like, why, even though the clothes are just so much cheaper, and it's just a way to save money.
Yeah, but also I think like all this feeler is like fashion from like 20, 30 years ago, cycling back round again. And like flares are obviously like so like 70s, 80s. So I think it's strange how fashion just goes back round and round again. It doesn't really like seem to evolve much further than. Yeah, but I think goth has really gone like out of style.
I haven't really seen that many goths lately.
Neither have I.
No, but then I guess
That's
maybe
cool,
it's like the bubble that we're like the student bubble maybe outside of that.
Or unless it's a question of, because definitely like at sixth form or secondary school, you go, oh look, there's someone like who's like an emo. It's always really easy to spot, but like there hasn't been that thing at university.
But it's like, I feel people evolve as well. Like I used to be quite emo, and I've evolved, and some days I can look a lot darker or emo, like, but you wouldn't say I'm emo.
Yeah.
But I used to be kind of, you know.
So do you think it's still there and you just grow out of it at university and it's just not a thing anymore?
It's still part of you, but it's evolved.
To be honest, I dress for comfort. I think that's the thing that I dress the most for, because I'm either wearing one of two things on most days. I'm wearing the joggers and the shirt, whatever. But when I have to do placement and stuff like that, I have to wear essentially a shirt and nice trousers or whatever. So I have quite a set things that I'm wearing in my weekly time, and my main thing is just like, am I comfortable? Does it feel okay? And I think more about how it looks when I'm going out and stuff like that. I don't really think about that on a normal day, because at the end of it, I don't really care, I guess, if someone's like, ooh, those are the wrong joggers to be wearing.
But then, so when you are dressing, say you're going out on the weekend, are you then thinking about yourself, or are you thinking about how you look to other people?
See, then I'm definitely thinking about how I look to other people.
Yeah, I think you'd be lying if you said, "Oh, I'm dressing for me," because you don't look at yourself very often. Like, well, I mean, I guess you do, but like you don't look. Other people look at you more than you look at yourself. So I think, obviously, you think about how you're going to look to other people.
That's definitely true.
I think coming to university has been quite a sort of, it's very, where I grew up and where I came from originally, like school and stuff, it was quite a conservative area, and it was a small town, so it was a very sort of, you come from that bubble, and like everyone's sort of has the same view and everything, so it was quite a Tory area. And coming to university, I think Bristol is quite a liberal area, and so I think I found that really fascinating. I mean, personally, I'm quite left, like I voted Green in the European elections, and it's something that now I'm at university and I'm not in that sort of bubble anymore. I can be more politically active and it makes more of a difference, whereas if I did that at home, I would feel like I would just go under the radar and get noticed at all. What about you guys?
I would say I'm definitely central left.
Yeah, I think personally, I don't think I have like a really strong like political identity. I know some people are really extreme one end, or even if they're like in the middle, they're just very connected to that like political identity. Like personally, I would definitely say that I'm like on the left side, but to be honest, I find politics a bit depressing. Like I find when you read the news and you read about like Brexit and everything that's going on, it's just been dragged out for so long that I find like with everything else going on, it's quite hard to stay engaged. And like I have friends who say about how the world's going to end in 20 years, and I'm like, personally, I just don't want to think about that. Which I also then I feel guilty for not being more involved. Like I did vote in all the elections that I was eligible to vote in. Sometimes it feels like you're a bit powerless. Like there's nothing you can do, really. Like you can. Like, I've got my own keep cup. Like I recycle. I like do my food waste and all that, but I think it's really easy to feel like out of control of the politics, especially as like there's not very much representation like in politics. Like obviously we've had a female prime minister, but like have you ever had like a BAME prime minister? Like the cabinet is so white middle class, and I think that's just the way it's been for so long and is still like that. So it's hard to feel connected to politics.
100%. I think definitely, like, I mean, politics is depressing at the moment, you know. I mean, with everything going on, and it's like, it's just going downhill, so it's very easy to just feel disconnected from everything.
Yeah.
And like, does my opinion matter anymore? But I think on the other hand, like, at least in my experience, coming to university, it's more empowering that I do recognise I have more power,
Yeah.
more choice. Like you say with like your keep come stuff, it is something little, but it's not something I would have done 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
But now I'm at university, now I have that independence, now I have my own voice. It's more something that I can actually start to make a difference.
Yeah, so me personally, at the start of this year, I had a friend who was really into sort of environmental issues, and I went along with him to this talk by George Monbiot. And after that, like, he was talking about the environmental impact of like the dairy industry and like animals, and I was like, right, I'm going vegan. But for me personally, I have struggled. Like I'm not fully vegan now, but I've started drinking cashew milk, which is a bit random, I know. And I can only drink it at home because nowhere else has it. And I would say I'm like 80% vegan. Like I just can't give up chocolate and cheese. I'm sorry, planet, but I think I definitely made. That was never really a big meat eater anyway, so I found it easier to like cut out meat. But I do think about more like what I'm buying, where it's coming from, like stop using plastic bags to get my vegetables in, and like small choices like that. And I've definitely seen like people around me, like my friends are now like more conscious of like recycling and food choices.
I think everyone's getting more, well not everyone, but most people are getting more conscious of it, and it's getting more and more of a thing to have reusable things. And I think now Waitrose are they doing reusable, like,
Yes, they're trialing
like plastic,
yeah.
which is really good. And I think it's good for people to be mindful of these things, because like it's difficult to not use plastic and waste and stuff. Like it's really difficult to be completely clean of all that, but just little helps here and there is something that I try to do and be mindful of.
I mean, my left-leaning, like, Green Party support means, like, I'm so, like, climate change is such a massive issue and everything, and I'm so, like, I wish I could be vegan, but I'm going to be honest, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Because meat is cheaper. Like, you buy frozen food, and it's all, like, frozen chicken nuggets kind of stuff. It's so much easier and cheaper to live the unhealthy lifestyle, which is killing the planet.
I honestly really disagree.
Oh, really?
Like,
Well, I mean, please enlighten me.
It's actually really cheap eating like vegetables. Vegetables are so cheap. Like if you go into a supermarket and buy like one carrot, it's like 10p. And like most of the food I eat, like I probably spend less money than like meat eating counterparts. But then I guess you do have to think about like cooking a bit.
Yes,
more.
I think that's really important, because like for where I stayed first year, I couldn't cook, so
Yeah.
I could only cook like frozen food.
Successful student, I think, is someone who balances everything well. I think you don't want to be inside all the time studying, you know, trying to get that first. I think you do need to be not so hard on yourself and enjoy time meeting new people and having these experiences, as well as obviously studying hard. I think there's people that study really hard and they like don't really socialise, and then there's people that socialise and then they don't really study. You want to find that balance in between so that you can be happy with the social aspect of uni, but also be happy that you actually tried at uni and not regret anything, that you wasted all of this money and these years just to make friends. I think that makes a successful student.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define success, which is probably another question. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I've finished my degree now, so I think would I have been disappointed if I would have got like a lower grade? Probably. So for me, like the academic side was important, and making sure I spent time like revising and all that, like, was definitely an important part of succeeding for me. But then I think I was quite lucky in that I was able to do well without spending hours and hours and hours and hours studying. Like obviously I did put the effort in, but you can definitely push yourself too far, like you said, and not enjoy the social aspects as well. But then I guess it's really hard because you say like, oh yeah, you need to balance, but what does that actually mean?
What is the balance?
I think what would make a successful student is someone that, I suppose, like you guys said, is that balance. But like the university is a perfect opportunity to find that balance. Like you can do that outside of university, so whether it's at sixth form or wherever, you can find that work, personal life balance. But university is like really the perfect environment. You've got a loan to support you, although a loan might not be enough to cover you. It does support you like sort enough to find that sort of, okay, do I need to find a job? Maybe I don't. I can just have more social time. do I want to spend more time studying? Ultimately, you can avoid going to lectures and still scale through at the end of the year. So I think it's the perfect time to find that opportunity and balance. But I suppose another point for me is like taking the opportunities. I think that's a really big point for me, because there are so many opportunities at university that you don't want to come through 3 years and go, oh damn it, I missed this and this, when I should have taken them. Like, I don't want to have that regret at the end. So I really am just trying to take every opportunity I can.
Yeah, I would say my mum used to always say to me, even when I was like 13, that university is the best time of your life, because that's when she had the most fun. And I can really see that now, because you have the freedom of a child and essentially very little responsibility, but you get treated like an adult in all the best ways. Just the best example, you can have a house, but you don't pay council tax. Like, that's incredible. And I think a successful student would be someone who essentially played to both of those things. So using your freedom and all the free time you have. Like one of my friends has 8 contact hours and then maybe another 8 hours in that week doing like essays and stuff like that. And in that free time, there's so many things you could do. You could learn a new skill, learn an instrument, learn sign language. So I would say a successful student would be someone who can say, oh, I'll prepare for my adult side by working hard, but also remember I'm still kind of a kid and have all this time to learn new things and do cool stuff that I actually enjoy. So it's just using those 2 things to make sure that you become a well-rounded person.
I think, it was quite interesting that a theme that we've all really said in our own ways is that balance, that sort of, that whether it's child-adult balance, like work, personal life balance, it's about, you don't just go to university to get the degree, you do all these other things, and it's that well-roundedness that makes that successful student.
Definitely.
So Max, would you consider yourself a successful student?
I'd say, having finished the year, yes. I definitely did not start as one. I mean, I suppose it was only first year. It's that learning curve, going through all that sort of, it's all new and everything. But by the end of the year, I've started to grab those opportunities and I've got a bit more of a plan. Like, I know what's going to come next year. Like, I got a 2-1, so that's a good like representation of academically I was successful. But in terms of social life, that definitely progressed throughout the year too. So I'd say overall, yeah. But I definitely didn't start as one. Ricky, what about you?
I would say I'm on track to being a successful student, but I think it's something that I need to be able to judge looking back once I'm done. But right now I think I'm doing everything that I should be doing, but it's like, I think it's quite hard because it's not as if there's something you can say, I'm 100% doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and there's like a checklist of stuff that you can say that equals successful student. But I definitely think that I would hope that at the end I will be one. What about you, Asha?
Well, having finished my degree, I guess I'm probably in the best place to say. And I think, like similar to you, I think what I define as successful is probably very different to what other people would define as successful. And I think the fact that I'm at uni having made like lifelong friends and like friends who I know that I'm gonna be friends with forever, like I'm living with them again next year, I think, yeah, I'm definitely successful, which is a bit of a weird thing to say. I think it's really hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm so successful. But like looking back over the time, like you said as well, Max, like when I first came here, I was like definitely not balancing everything or like making friends as easily. But looking back, like I've progressed to the point when, I mean, I got first, so I mean, I'm pretty proud of that. I think that sort of is a good metric of being successful as well.
I suppose, again, like it's about having finished your second year, it's like, you don't want to have regrets. I think that's the biggest sign.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have regrets, I wouldn't see myself as being a successful student.
Yeah, definitely. And I think looking back over the 3 years, I wouldn't regret anything really, because I think going through, I took more and more opportunities, like you were saying, like joined more societies and things like that in my 3rd year. I think sometimes it takes a while to sort of ease in. Like I remember, I think halfway through 1st year, thinking like, oh God, I haven't made those friends yet. Like I don't feel like I've settled. But now I can look back and think, yeah, like I did it in the end. Like you get through it. So, Becca, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm a successful student, or like on the way to becoming one. I think, like Mike said, at the beginning I definitely wasn't one. I didn't know how to manage my time. I didn't really know how to be a uni student. Like it's something you're learning as you go. But now I think I have. Like I've managed to pass my 1st year, so that's all good. We've made it to 2nd year, success. You know, I've made friends. I've worked, like I've had to work as a student, finance as well wasn't enough. So I think I've managed my time and I've passed my first year and I've made friends and financially I'm fine. One thing I would improve would be like my meals. I want to eat better, I think. That's like, there's tiny little things that I want to improve to become more of a successful student, but they're little things that you do improve on the way. And I think I'm on the way to becoming as successful as I can.